Hey foodies! Welcome back to Grab a Bite. In this episode, we're joined by an influential writer who's been championing Filipino stories in Australia. She's also a Filipino food advocate who's helping to put Philippine flavors on the mainstream map in the Australian food scene. We'll explore her journey from being a small town girl from Naga to a successful journalist in Melbourne and learn how she's helping to share our culture, one story and one dish at a time. So sit back, relax, and let's grab a bite with Raine Cabral Laysico. Hey, what's up, foodies? Welcome back to Grab a Bite. Today we have a special guest. We're going global, yes. Our guest actually came from Australia. She's one of the food advocates of Filipino food in Australia. So I'm really honored to have her on our show today. So guys, let's all welcome Miss Raine Cabral. What's up, Raine?
Hi!
Oh, warm welcome tayo, guys. Let's go. Woo!
Hello,
Hi, Raine. How are you?
Mabuti, Gio. I'm
Kamusta? Kamusta ang ating short vacation here in the Philippines?
It's not vacation, but it's short. So here for work, I should actually go home one time and go back home to Naga and have a vacation. But for this time, I'm only here for 3 days.
I know, very quick.
Yeah.
Is that always your trip? Like, it's also, when you go here, it's mostly like for business.
For business and work, I feel that especially this year, the only time that I've actually haven't had like holiday lang na time, but before the year ends, there's still time.
Yes,
so
there's still time.
I'm hoping.
And I think it's gonna be better yung situation when it comes to weather, especially during the bare months.
Yes.
A lot cooler, less rain.
Yes.
A great time to have a vacation.
Yes, so ganon. I'm looking forward to that, Gio. But for this one, it's, para sa kultura.
Para
so,
sa kultura talaga
nandito
muna.
tayo. Yes.
Oh, quick question lang.
Yes.
If you have time, example, nagkaroon ka na ng time mo, di ba? Aside from Naga, let's say you had a 2-week vacation.
Have a 2-week
Yeah.
vacation.
What would be your itinerary like lang? Yeah, that would be nice.
Okay,
2-week vacation.
so-
all leisure, all, just vacation.
Okay. Siargao
Siargao.
would be a good place.
Great food.
And Iloilo. Because I
Oh.
always said I visited there quickly. I spent 17 hours in Iloilo.
My God. Sobrang exact nung 17 hours.
Because
Okay.
we flew at like 4 a.m.
And then?
Got there and then we filmed the entire day. Shout out to our host, Richmond Hotel, Iloilo. And
Which one?
yes, shout out Nat and Chef Ariel. And then they toured us actually. So I filmed from 7 up until like 8 at night.
Oh.
Tapos,
diretso.
we flew on the last flight out. And that's what with Chef Fred. And we got to see the beauty of Iloilo
It is
in
beautiful.
those hours. And why? Bakit talaga sila, city of gastronomy
Yes,
by
yes.
UNESCO. So that's where I would go. And I said before, and I always keep my words. Like, if I wasn't a Bicolana, I'll be an Ilongga. Kasi it's one of the beautiful places. Obviously, Siargao, they're having their first ever food festival around this time as well.
Okay.
But I couldn't na attend. So those are the two places. I've been to Palawan
Palawan's
and
great too.
and Boracay. So I think those are like my two places that I'd want to go and spend 2 weeks. And obviously, I have to go. You can't take the Bicolana out, so I'd be home in Naga,
Naga.
and I'll visit Mayon Volcano, and I'll go to Caramoan in the islands, and basically shut off my phone for a day.
That
Gio.
would be a great itinerary.
Ganon.
Ganda yun. That would be
phone.
like
No, you
the-
can't find me.
the dream vacation.
Yes, the dream
I
vacation.
haven't been to Bicol, but I
Oh
really
my gosh,
heard na
you should
maganda sa Bicol.
you should come with me. It's amazing.
This time, yeah. I really want to see Mount Mayon.
It's the most. I think what I really love about growing up in Naga is parang hindi siya. It's probinsya, but it's not too
Yes,
probinsya
yeah.
in a way. Yung parang it's still
A great blend of, like modern times and then the province
Oh,
vibe.
we still had like the oldest one of the oldest seminaries in Naga Cathedral. Like, talagang time pa of the Spanish. That's where the Holy Rosary Minor Seminary is, and the food. You can't
What's your favorite Bicolana food?
balao.
Balao? What's
It's
balao?
so alam mo yung bagoong
Okay.
before they get fermented.
Okay.
That's balao. So unfermented siya, and then you only cook it with bawang, sibuyas, kamatis, and obviously sile. And you
Sarap.
just saute, and then you eat it with like loads of calamansi. And then that's
Sarap.
it. That's
So basically,
like,
that's like the ulam.
that's the ulam na.
Talaga?
Yeah. So I think
Interesting.
that's the one of the best for me. It's the simple. You got the kanin, you got the balao.
Top it over like the steaming hot
Oo,
rice.
tas yun lang. And no one really talks about. I think everyone wants to like elevate the natong, which is laing. So
Yes.
we call laing natong,
Natong.
in Bicol. And then we have a thing called kinunot, which
Kinunot.
is
That's a
made out
stingray.
of the
stingray.
stingray
Yes.
whale
Yes.
pating.
Yeah, pating.
So and then they all that other stuff. But for me, I keep it simple. I'm a balao girl.
Balao, okay.
And I always say this. I'm like, guys,
So wait, so
haven't
you
tried.
put balao too also in laing or hindi?
You can.
You can.
can naman. But my lola doesn't. She puts tinapa.
Tinapa.
In the
In
tinapa
laing.
in the laing
Oh, yeah,
and the
masarap.
pork. Yung
Masarap
nice
yun.
talaga na
Yes,
pork. And the tinapa adds the
Oh my
umami.
God,
Next time I'm here, guys, I'll make you laing.
Oh, talaga? Yes,
Ayan,
definitely.
I'll
Yes,
make you
please.
laing,
Yes,
and
please,
you're gonna be like,
we love laing. Like, us, like, me and Ian, I'm not sure kung may
Yeah.
gulay yun.
I'll
He doesn't eat
sige.
gulay. But we love gata in the office. Like, gata in general.
Oh my
we
gosh.
really love eating with
It's
gata.
and kasi nga I really grew up in Naga. You know the kudkuran, the
Yes,
kabayo.
yung ginaganon.
Yeah. So it was so fascinating to me, and I'm like, I don't even know. Can you still buy that?
No, I actually wala akong idea. Like, I've
Yung-
also been looking for it kasi just for the sake of
Guys, we
having
need
it
we
at
need
home.
we need to have like a photo
Yeah,
somewhere
yes,
with this.
call you
this
kudkuran
goes.
so that they would
The
know what
kudkuran,
kudkuran.
like literally you can sit on it and then you make kudkun.
Yes.
And
Because even in the market now here in Manila, they have
Oo.
like the automatic grater na or something.
Yeah.
Like they basically just put it in the machine.
no,
And then they scrape
parang
it
it's
off
different
Iba.
Tapos
Iba.
and then you squeeze
You
with
squeeze
you actually get
Yeah.
fresh.
Coconut
Gata
cream, yes.
and yung with a cheesecloth with a lampin. Like I
Yes.
grew up like when we make laing, it
Lampin
was like
talaga, oh my God.
it's a lampin cheesecloth, diba?
Yeah.
It's
The funny thing is, ano siya eh, lumpin siya for the baby, pero ginagawa din siya cheesecloth.
Hey, it all ends up at the same
Exactly.
place.
Exactly. Grabe, sobrang natin, sobrang innovative ng mga Pinoy, Like, okay, etong lampin na to, pwede yan sa bata. Mamaya ko to, itong
May initial lang.
ginagawa
Ito
sa
yung
gata.
lampin ni Ian. Magkapitan.
Actually.
Just a curious question.
Yeah.
How do you cook your laing? Is it saucy or...
Yeah.
I'm more on the saucy side.
The saucy side,
Because
okay.
sauce is life. Why,
Yes.
you gotta
No,
make sure.
Yeah,
na,
because some laing here is yung medyo nagmamantika. Like,
Yeah,
yung
yeah.
very oily. Hindi naman siya super dry, but very oily.
No, it means wala pang It's either they cooked it too long that
Yeah, that one.
that the gata turned na into oil,
yes.
or they didn't put enough gata.
Oh.
Okay, Bicolana here. I know what I'm talking about. It's like this, that's like my childhood. really.
Some people
Oo.
kasi like the ones that, they could really see the oil. And then not super dry, but that it's not really saucy.
Oh, I think it's like similar, I think, with adobo. in a
Adobo,
way.
yes,
I
yes,
think
yes.
people have different, and I always say this, people have different
Okay.
versions of their adobo and the laing, and that's fine. But you always equate your best childhood memory with the way that your mom or your lola will
Yeah.
make the dish.
The dish,
And
exactly.
that's what makes everything parang more special
That's
in
true.
a way.
Now, I'm definitely sure a lot of our viewers know
Okay.
this on how to cook laing. Pero ano ba talaga yung secret para hindi siya makate? Coming from a Bicolana. Kasi,
Okay.
I think, like, online sabihin nila, wag mo haluin. Yung iba naman, sinasabi, pakuluan mo lang siya. O kaya iba, hugasan. So, is there like at least one general tip when you're cooking laing para hindi siya makate?
Love her and leave her alone.
Oh, okay. That.
It's like don't make too much of like once you give your laing space to breathe. Don't make sakal.
Okay.
just don't watch, like, once you put everything in, you trust the process.
Trust
Kasi I think don't quote me on this, but sometimes when you stir too much, it causes parang there's a chemical
Yes,
within the
chemical
leaves that
reaction,
causes
yeah.
na parang nagiging siyang mas or the other thing is you dry din talaga, you
The
air
leaves.
dry the leaf
The leaves.
before, so they can absorb the moisture of the gata and not excrete their own moisture. So
okay.
it's there's like a whole
There's science
science
for
behind
it,
it talaga, but the best thing is once you put it there na, don't make halo too much. Kasi you'll make, madudurog na siya.
Totoo.
Tapos, paano na?
Okay.
So, love her, leave her alone.
Yes. Give her space.
Give
Wag
her
sakalin.
space.
Yeah.
Wag sakalin. Don't
That's a
sakal
general-
your lying.
That's a general rule in everything, I guess. Not just lying.
Yeah,
but,
and in relationships, guys. So, and naging relationship
From lying with
podcast.
love. From lying to love. Sorry.
L to L.
I'd like to get to know more about you, Raine. So
Okay,
how
sige.
did Naga girl, like you said, diba, you're
Yeah.
small town girl from Naga, became, a food advocate in Melbourne?
Once upon a time. No, joking. Joke lang. So, Gio, as I've said, I grew up in Naga and then I went to Miriam here in Manila. And there was an opportunity to be an exchange student in Australia.
Okay.
And I've always wanted to see the world in a way. But my dad, especially my parents, were very strict in like wanting to always protect us and always want the best for us. But it was my mom actually,
Okay.
who said to convince my dad, you should just let her spread her wings. So I did. So I came to Australia in 2005 as an exchange student from Miriam. And it just so happened that the course coordinator in Miriam had great, I guess, contacts in Australia at RMIT. So that's how I ended up there. And the intention is always to come back talaga to the Philippines and, be here and go back to Naga and, live life in the province. Kasi it was a simple life. It's a great life. And that's all I knew. But what happened was parang 20 days after I arrived in Melbourne, my dad died. And dun talaga, that's when I realized how one fragile life is. The last time I saw him was he took me to the airport. And I remember the day that I was set to leave. Galit pa siya kasi hindi pa ako nakapag-empake. So I was like, you're leaving and you haven't packed and and typical dad. Because I don't like, this is a character flaw. I don't like packing or planning things. I have a rough idea of where I'm going, but I'm not the type to like plan
To have
an
schedules and
itinerary and
everything.
schedules. I just know obviously for when I do interviews that I have a set time for
time,
this and an event for this, but my personal life, it's all very free flowing and organic
spontaneous,
and
kumbaga.
spontaneous
Yeah.
talaga. So anyway, when he died, it was quite a big reality check for me because I'm the eldest of 7. So overnight, I had to parang be a breadwinner together with my mom. And I was all but 20. I've never really worked anywhere. And so you just had to find a way to survive. So, and it just so happened that I was doing Model United Nations there. So obviously I went back home for Dad's funeral and everything, and I still, to honor him and his memory, I still continued with my studies back there kasi sabi ko, okay, it's already an opportunity. So it was, I didn't set out to be an advocate or to be in media or to be in the community, but I was at the Model United Nations, as I've said, and one of the panel judges there was Tito Raul Hernandez, who was then the Honorary Consul General in Melbourne. So he said to me, he's like, oh, Raine, if you're not doing anything, come work with me at the consulate. So I had a choice. I always say this. I said, I had a choice. I can be sad and feel sorry for myself and be so depressed that I'll just be in a room and not, and internalize my grief and feel, or I can go out there, get myself out of bed and help. And that's when I realized, totoo talaga yun na in helping others, I was actually helping myself.
Yeah.
So, and not to discount, obviously everyone goes through things differently, but for me, what really helped is I just kept moving. I just kept, I worked for 5 years. I remember I only had Christmas and Good Friday off. So I worked 363 days. I put myself through school. I worked 3 jobs. Australian government, don't come for me because you can only work 20 hours
As
a week as an international
international
student because
student.
I had no papers, diba? So it was all like cash jobs but you do what you have to do to survive because
Yeah.
my main thing was my youngest brother was only 6, so yun you have to like
Wow.
I
Yeah.
had to, and I had to realize I considered nga going back home and working at a call center or something like that, but at that time it's not enough. I had my brothers were in LaSalle. My sister was in Miriam. Oh no, St. Paul's na pala kasi she was doing college na din. So it was a lot of that, and the only time that I made sure I didn't have time to think, which may or may not have, you know, it's a different form of therapy, but you compartmentalize, and that's how I got to know the community. I got to really serve
Yeah.
the community, and that's how I got to meet different people. And the only thing that I really kept for myself as a breadwinner was my writing. So that's when I just, kasi there's a point in your life when you decide to live your life for others. And there's nothing wrong with that
Yes.
because you do it out of love.
Yeah.
But
Nice.
that
Yeah.
was, diba, 18 years. But then there's also a point when you decide then, which is, my youngest brother finished university na like 2 years ago. So for 18 years, it was just that, okay, I
Oh,
got
so that is
everyone.
your 6-year-old brother.
Yeah,
Yeah,
my
okay,
6-year-old
yun na kwento mo
brother
ngayon.
na ngayon. So 5 of us are in Australia now.
Wow.
So I got everyone, and it was really teamwork and ganon. And then my 2 brothers are here. I'm very proud of them kasi they're really successful. And for me, that's the biggest reward.
Reward,
Having your loved ones be successful, that's the return na. And that's typical nga, sabi ko, that's the typical migrant story in a
Totoo.
way na, and I feel that if you approach things with grace, then it will all come back to you.
Sa episode na to, samahan nyo kaming explore ang kakaibang pahimagas, ano ba ito at saan nagmula ang inutak. Welcome to the search of the Philippine Islands. Tara na!
Learn more about these regional delicacies and delicious sweets here on Desserts of the Philippine Islands. Catch all the episodes on our YouTube channel, Bitesized.PH.
That's nice. Now we have a little background on how you started your career as
Yeah.
a writer/journalist. Now, what inspired you to pursue that dream, basically of writing?
I think I mentioned this offline, pero I grew up in Naga, and I remember that my first ever poem at 5 was about trees.
Okay.
So
Do you still remember that poem? I mean, like the words there at least, or like the jizz.
the gist, it's something I need to get Mama to find this, but it was something that the trees are green and it gives life, and then that's all I remember.
Okay.
So my 5, that's it. But I remember vividly writing about it, and obviously part naman ng school paper. And things like that. So writing was always the way I made sense of the world. And when Dad died, that's also one of the things that connected me, because both my parents loved writing in a way and loved reading and loved books. So I was always surrounded by books growing up. So. And even now, I still try to read. So every writer I find, and this is, I think maybe stereotyped then in a way, but every writer I find or I have spoken to has always been a great reader. So it's that. So for me, that was, going back once again, because I was the breadwinner of our family, writing was the only thing that I kept for myself. Compared sa maraming gusto kong gawin in life, and while I was working, I was like, I always had my writing to fall back on, and I always wrote about Filipino stories of positivity and hope. So it was always about, wonderful people who moved to Australia in search for a better life. Kasi that's the common theme of the struggles they encounter, the culture shock, sometimes the discrimination. And I said, but there's something beautiful in how we as a nation will always work towards something bigger than ourselves. And most of that, like 99% of that, is for our family and for our loved ones. And faith. I feel that that's the two most parang common things in my like 2 decades of writing. Yeah.
Sa ating mga Pinoy talaga, no? Faith and family.
Faith and family. Even me. Parang ganun. Yung parang,
Family talaga.
like, what gets us out of bed isn't us eh. Pero yung mahal natin sa
Agree.
buhay.
Agree.
Diba?
Bumabangon tayo for them talaga.
Oo. Compared to the Western parang ideal na I do things for me.
Yeah.
But there, as I've said, it's just a very different parang outlook in the way we see the world.
You've lived in Australia for almost 20 years, and definitely you've been writing for publications in both Sydney and Melbourne. Now, can you describe differences and similarities between these two communities from your perspective as a writer?
I think the best part, and completely biased because I'm from Melbourne, but I think the similarities, I should start muna first, is once again that migrant journey. That's what's common. Parang it's like when you see it, it's like a script in a way. How you come in, you're new, you get the lay of the land, you encounter challenges, and then you succeed. And there's a reason for that, and that's always for your family. So that's what's similar, not just in Melbourne or Sydney, but I find in the diaspora, if you have, people in the US, people in Canada,
Yes.
in Europe, whatnot. So it's the same. I think differences in Melbourne, there's a lot more Filipino chefs and restaurants who are going out and creating Filipino flavors. And I feel that there's a little more, I wouldn't say, what I would say is there's a little more, parang more of a community feel in Melbourne in a way. Maybe because it's geographically then, it's more concentrated insofar as locations of Filipino restaurants, I would say. So, pero sa Sydney, it's a little bit more spread out. But yeah, I think that's the main thing. But the food, the flavors, it's all, it's all masarap.
Yeah. So, mas madami bang restaurants in Melbourne? I mean, Filipino restaurants in Melbourne, or not really?
Wala na, in terms of number, I don't think so. Parang equal lang siya, but the concentration. Like for example, in Melbourne, there's a lot more restaurants in the central business district. So we've got Serai, Ros Magnaya Serai. We've got Ascal by John Rivera. We've got Halaya, who just recently opened. It's the first ever ube cafe, dedicated ube cafe
That's cute.
it's called Halaya. And then there's also like Inasal Express for like their offerings. Joma owns that. And then you go wider, Palay in Fitzroy. So I feel like in an inner city location, there's a lot more concentration of Filipino restaurants. Pero in Sydney kasi, there's one in Takam, which is sort of like, a great fine dining, like casual fine space. And then you go further out into the little suburbs then. And, Tita's Carinderia and things like that. So there's a whole list actually in Australia.
There are a lot of places in Palate that you could actually get Filipino food.
Oo.
Pero walang
Jollibee.
Kanina sinasabi niya wala doon Jollibee sa Australia. I didn't know that. I thought there was Jollibee there.
No, wala pa. That's why that's literally my first meal every time I come home.
What's your order, Yan? What's your go-to
Okay,
order?
my order, guys, don't come for me, but I always have like chicken joy meal, a yum burger, a jolly hot dog, and a peach mango pie. And I make ubos. Like
Like
that's
every
what
day,
I
okay. Siyempre kasi you get them
and
once in a
pineapple
while.
juice.
Pineapple juice. Actually, you have to say, pineapple juice in Jollibee hits differently for some reason.
Diba? I think maybe they add extra sugar. Baka may sucrose sana. It's like, I don't know
guess.
the
But
formula.
they're really good, you know?
Diba? Parang hindi
I like
siya,
your order. That's like our typical lunch. That's like our typical lunch. The boys order like that.
Okay na.
Speaking of Jollibee, what are your thoughts that they were named, I think, the best fried chicken in America. There was like I'm not sure if it's I'm not sure if
guys.
there's like what has been the biggest challenge that you faced when you were starting out?
It's the interest. I feel that there wasn't, because I started writing, as I've said, 2007 or so, 2006, 2007. So there wasn't as much interest in Filipino culture or Filipino stories, I find. Like, though it's very parang, at first you just preach to the choir, and there's nothing wrong with that. That your stories will be read by the Filipino community. There's nothing wrong, as I've said. But for us to be more inclusive, for us to share our culture the same way that bakit may Chinatown everywhere in the world? Bakit may Vietnamese food and now may Korean food?
Yeah.
Why can't Filipino food and culture be on the same level?
True.
And so I think the pandemic then played a very big role in changing our perspective about our food. Kasi that's when we started, I feel, especially in Australia, that people finally had the courage to just jump off a cliff and open up their own spaces. So it forced us to really, for me as I see it, go where our heart is and go where our roots is. So every time that a Filipino chef would open up a restaurant or do a pop-up, it always harkens back to their roots. And that level of authenticity is what really connects with people. Kasi you can never fake real, Gio. I think that's one of the things that I found in, my 2 decades. Like I lived half my life in the Philippines and half my life in Australia, and the most common denominator that I find in either of those places is just having a genuine heart and a sincere heart. So,
beautiful. Is there a story that you covered that you feel had a real impact on the community?
I think yung most recent one was when Gordon Ramsay opened up his place here, and he was asked what was the best food you've ever had in the last 6 months or so, and he mentioned sisig tacos from Sarai. And then in Melbourne. And Ross, who's a good friend of mine, sent me the article and it's like, let's write a response. So I actually wrote for Phil Times. I wrote Ross's response to Gordon Ramsay saying that his sisig tacos were the best he's ever had. So that for me really cements Filipino food. But then on the other side of the equation, and I'm very careful to say this talaga, na we don't need, it's great that we get recognition from the greats like Gordon or Anthony Bourdain and being invited to to that landscape. But our food has always been great.
Yeah.
So
agree.
I don't necessarily feel na kailangan natin yung validation of other people to showcase what we're made of. So I feel that the more Filipinos like myself who advocate for Filipino food, the more Filipino chefs write and create, I should say, dishes like with Adobros, with Abby, with everyone doing their own thing. It tells a more parang less BS kind of story in a way. So yeah, I think that's the most recent one that I can think of out of like all the times that I've written something. Yeah.
Is Filipino food making an impact in Australia? I mean, like, is it something that the locals here
Yeah,
cuisines?
actually, so Sarai, Askal, the Adobro Supper Club that I do with Chef Michael and Chef Morris, Palay with Chef Fred, their demographics are mixed na eh.
Mixed na
So it's, I
So
would
it's
say,
not just the community basically supporting the restaurants,
yeah,
but also Australians.
Australians, and I think that's the beautiful thing when you open up and create food that resonates with people regardless of race or culture. I feel that that's why we're gaining that resurgence because we're sticking to the flavor profiles that we know, but reimagining it in a way or making it familiar. So what we're doing in Australia anyway is we're localizing Filipino flavors.
I
So
like that
that's
term,
you
localization.
localize. The way to do it, yeah, is through that. Like what the Spaniards did for religion, we're doing with Filipino food. Yan,
Tama.
100%. I mean,
Yeah.
why not? Diba? Colonialism works. So let's coin a different term. I guess it's a Filipino food revolution.
Like that term, Filipino food revolution.
we,
Yep.
we create our own spaces, we create tables and invite people in. I want to flip that narrative that a Filipino is invited to a foreign table. I'm like, no, we create our own table
Ganda.
and say this is who we are, and then get people to take on the journey on our terms,
Nice.
because that's what Filipino food should be. It's the one that it's the singular most, and that's what I really love. It's food connects everyone,
Agreed.
but on a
Totoo yan.
deeper meaning, Filipino food connects everyone, and the way for us to unite as a nation is through food. Don't look at all the other like noise going in the background. This is what people can get behind. So support that revolution.
Totoo, agree. I have to agree that food unites us. I mean, magulo tayo lahat, pero food is something that actually
Everyone
does.
eats.
Yes.
Diba? So, and I feel that that's what's really interesting about Australia now. That it's not, all the chefs are actually friends with everyone. It's not a competition. And I feel that
Ganda. It's a nice
the
community.
more that we do that, the more that we focus on what unites us, what makes us the same, the better.
So what is the current state right now of Filipino food scene in Australia?
It's thriving. It's it's, as I've mentioned earlier, it's parang Filipino food revolution. So people are really excited about the landscape there, and the best part for me is that you see people talagang they want to share, the chefs really want to share their personal stories through food, and that's what connects people. So I feel na the more, because as I've said, I do supper clubs with the Dobros, I do supper clubs with Chef Morris Danson, and one of the best things that they have said about the food is it brings us back home.
Wow.
And that's a powerful statement. Kasi when you're a migrant, although you make the country your second home, like, you're in Australia, Canada, and whatnot, you always still look for a piece of yourself will always be in the Philippines.
Yeah.
Parang ganun. And yun yung parang the most beautiful thing na I can
Totoo.
share.
Yeah,
Na,
kasi
you know.
anywhere in the world, nothing feels like home. Philippines is really, really different. So I'm guessing talagang nami-miss ng mga Pinoy yung pagkain.
Oo. Yun.
What are your thoughts regarding, mga purists na sinasabi that Filipino food should be served like this? Especially na ikaw nakaka-encounter ka ng mga, innovative dishes in Australia.
I feel that as long as this is actually from Chef Lau, so Chef quoting you here, and they've been Filipino food advocates for like
Yes,
decades and
yeah.
whatnot. So as long as the flavor profile is Filipino, you stick to that. You can do whatever you want with Filipino food. Because what is Filipino food anyway? If what I say to the purists is, the celebration shouldn't be focused on what would divide people. Kasi I bet you, Gio, your mom's adobo is different to my
Yeah.
mom's adobo.
Totoo yun.
Just
adobo is
because
different.
your mom's adobo,
Every household has
every
a different-
household is different, diba?
Yes.
So just because your mom cooks adobo differently, you won't eat any other adobo. It's like saying, okay, and then it falls into other layers. Then I always say, food is meant to invite everyone.
Yes.
Some people like coffee, some people like tea, but they're all drinks. So just drink what you like, diba? And just focus on that.
You've covered stories about chefs and restaurants pushing the boundaries of Filipino cuisine. Now, what trends are you most excited about?
Trends.
Or have you seen any new trends, especially in Australia, that are popping up there?
I feel that I think now it's how you make regional food more of a thing. There's a lot more focus on, I guess, dishes from Mindanao. Now, like the tule itom, with the burnt coconut,
That is really good.
and things that are dishes that mainly are not your typical adobo and sinigang.
Yes.
And I feel that people are a little bit more avant-garde, they're a little bit more modern when it comes to presentation. I was just speaking to, as I've said, the way that it's shaped now, like chefs in Canada, chefs in Seattle, chefs in London, and the common theme is how can we create dishes that not only taste good but are distinctly Filipino. I feel that that's the trend globally, and I'm really thankful that that chefs nowadays go back to their roots.
Yeah.
I feel that when you do supper clubs, it's a or you do dinners or degustations, it's that they mix, and what's exciting is they mix their culinary like background or their sense of history with their childhood. So for example, Chef Morris is trained in Italy, Italian trained, so he creates dishes that are Filipino in flavor but with Italian techniques.
Yes.
You've
Mommy,
got
Italian
so
inspiration.
may ganon. So
Yes.
then it's more, as I've said, it's localizing the flavor. So we've got an event with Chef Dabo on Monday with Guevara's and
Guevara's.
Chef Lau. Then he's more Pan-Asian. So he's doing something in Dubai called Naimas. And he's, fusing, I guess, laksa with like palabok sauce or something like that.
That is
So
interesting. Laksa
head
and
to Guevara's tomorrow, and for a whole month we've got he's doing like a Peruvian dish called lomo saltado, which
Yeah,
is
lomo
and it's making
saltado.
like bistec saltado, as you know.
Yes.
So it's things like that. I'm like, oh, that's interesting, and it's still Filipino
Yes.
because you keep the flavor profile where it is.
Exactly. Feeling ko, that's one of the things which makes Filipino food great. Because you could also combine it with different cuisines, and it's still interesting.
Yeah.
And we really have a diverse cuisine, in my opinion. That every region has their own flavor and taste that you could actually play around. As a chef or as a cook, it's actually interesting. I mean, the possibilities are endless for me in
Yeah.
terms of Filipino food. And the
Exactly.
combinations and stuff.
Even our salts, right?
Yeah, the
Obviously,
salts.
we've got the asin tubuok, we've got the tultul salt, we've got the salt from Iba, in Zambales. So even the artisanal salts
Yeah.
are getting the recognition.
And I mean, a lot of our local products are not getting exposures, but we do really have local produce that are actually great.
yeah,
Like
exactly.
example, we were talking about bagoong a while ago, right?
Yeah.
There's this coconut product, they call it cocoong. It's basically bagoong but made of coconut, and it's really good.
Oh,
We're
okay.
doing a feature this month where we're looking for local byproducts of coconut. So far we've featured cocoa jams, cocoa
Yeah, called
aminos.
oh
'Cause
my god,
it's
santan. We call it
santan.
santan. Coco jam is called santan in
Santan.
Bicol.
In
You know,
Bicol, santan.
santan.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh.
So that one, what else? The cocoong, then the
Oh,
cocoa chips, and there's so many things.
I'll invite you. Yeah, we've got a few things. I think I told you there's vegan bagoong
Vegan bagoong, yeah. I was
from
interested about
Buenas. So guys, yeah, I'll get them. I'll get them to send you, and then you can feature.
To feature
Yeah,
it
yeah.
there. Yeah,
And
that would be
then
great.
they also
Sarap
have
yan.
from the coconut flowers. They make like teriyaki sauce.
Yeah, I think that's cocoa aminos
It's
too.
cocoa aminos,
Yeah, I
and
think
then
so.
cocoa mansi from Alan from Saint C. So
Toyo.
instead of toyo, they use the coconut.
Yeah, there's a coconut
Have you
aminos.
tried?
Yes, we have actually there
Oh
coconut
my
aminos.
gosh,
It's
okay.
really good.
Diba
Like
sabi
it's
ko, oh,
masarap. I
healthier.
love cocoa aminos.
Oh.
It's like a much, well, I wouldn't say sweeter version of. It's a lighter and sweeter version of, let's say, soy sauce.
Sauce, oo.
Yeah, hindi siya ganun.
Ayun,
Basta may
coconut.
umami
Sige, but
taste siya eh.
the
Sarap.
vegan bagoong,
Oh,
I'll get them to
yes,
send
please,
you.
yes, I love
It's super.
bagoong.
Kasi parang,
I really love
what?
bagoong.
And I was mind blown that it's allergen free.
Yeah. And hopefully those products, they get exposure not just here in the Philippines, but abroad too, because we do have a lot of local products that are actually great.
And that's part of, I guess, for me, that's the personal thing. And I think you mentioned earlier, I was back home for IFEX in May. And, thank you so much, Saitem. And for going into that a little bit more, chefs are the one who create like flavors, right? And one of the best things that I've learned over time is there's now an opportunity and a market for us to create those flavors and ensure that there's also a way of giving back to the manufacturers, our farmers, and ensuring that it's going to be a sustainable living. And the best way for that, there's also economic, I guess, wins or successes. Kasi once you create our dishes, the next question for people is, how do I make it at home?
At home, yes.
And so
Where do we get
for
those
me as a
ingredients?
Filipino Australian, I'm like, why are we so focused on us importing great products? Why can't we have great export products and do something about our trade deficit? So that's the other side for me, not like an awakening. Instead of just writing, instead of just supper clubs, I'm like, why don't we do something to ensure that it gives back to the
The
Philippines,
Philippines too, yeah.
to the farmers, so we move from an economy that would export people as a resource and actually look into potentially products as a way. Kasi ang galing nating mga Pinoy eh.
Magaling,
So,
magaling talaga.
bakit? So I think Saitem plays a really great part in that. Working with Saitem, and I have, actually, Gio, I have this great and slightly maybe unhinged, insane idea of
What's
this
that?
of having like a global campaign for Filipino food.
We should have a
Kasi
global
we have,
campaign.
diba, we have this tourism, videos that invite people to the Philippines.
The Philippines, yeah.
Right? And it's a big investment. Like, people in Europe, like Germans,
Yes.
Italians, and Asia, Koreans will spend money, experience the Philippines and whatnot. But I have this idea now, why don't we bring the Philippines to them?
That
It
sounds
will
great.
cost less. They don't have to spend for airfare and accommodation. You continue to localize the flavor.
Exactly.
And not only that, then they spark curiosity about the Philippines
Yeah.
through the food.
I think a lot of foreigners are not familiar with our food, or they have a misconception with our food.
I feel that because it's similar
Or
to, I
maybe
guess, how
we're just misrepresented or something.
kasi for the longest time we've been portrayed as a country needing aid. If you look
That's-
at
yun din,
if you
that
look
too.
at and as I've said, not to say that there's no poverty in the Philippines. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that everyone there's a lot of social issues,
Yes,
right? That
yes.
we have.
Yes.
However, my main gripe in the way, going 20 years back or 15 years back even, that the lens or the gaze has always been the Philippines needs help
Yeah.
because the focus is on our orphans or people who don't have the best living conditions or the standard of living and things like that. And as I've said, those are real issues, right? But the Philippines is not just a representation of our problems. Just like in any nation,
Yes.
you don't see, like example, United States, right? You don't see the United States being portrayed as, say, gang violence, putting it out there,
Yeah.
right? Although there is.
There is.
So it's for
Mass
me,
shootings, mga
diba?
ganyan, yeah.
Shootings, all that stuff, or you don't see like, in Italy, like pickpockets.
Yeah.
There's no like documentary just focusing on
Pickpocket.
don't generalize. What I'm saying is, and as Filipinos, we should also say that we are progressive in a way.
Yes.
There are things that we're really good at. That's not just what, we are not the sum of our problems.
Yes.
I think, to put it in a very,
Totoo.
a blanket statement, we are not the sum of our problems. Yes, there are issues and concerns, but why don't we focus on the things that make the Philippines great?
Exactly. Tama yung point mo kasi madalas nga napoportray tayo as someone na a poor country, which is technically we're not.
Yeah.
We're not a poor country, but yeah, which I guess nagre-reflect kung bakit yung food natin iniisip nila is busy for the poor or something. Na
Or
hindi siya
or
masarap.
pedestrian. But as
Pedestrian,
I've
yeah.
said, in Australia, hindi. Like, that's what I really love about it. Na there's, and we're more than our
Slowly,
nurses.
at least we're growing.
Yeah,
At least we're getting known.
Exactly.
Our food is getting
Our
known pala.
food is
Yeah.
getting known. We're more than our nurses. We're more than, domestic helpers in Hong
Exactly.
Kong. We're more than we are a creative nation. We can go head to head and compete with any race in the world.
Yeah.
Be it basketball, be it food, be it, great minds like science. Like, let's not focus on generalizing na hanggang dito lang tayo.
Totoo.
I
Ganda.
feel na there's more.
Hi, I'm Inka Bagnayet.
I'm Abby Marquez.
Hi, this is Julie.
Hi, this is Raver.
I'm Radson Flores.
Hi, I'm Makoy Dubs, and this is 8 List Slam Book.
8 List Slam Book.
8 List Slam Book.
8 List Slam Book.
8 Lists Slam Book.
Get to know more about your favorite celebrities and personalities. Head on to 8list.ph YouTube channel and tune in to Slambook.
Speaking of misconceptions, what do you think is the biggest misconception about Filipino food that you encountered in your work?
Na Filipino food is just toyo and suka. It's just soy sauce and vinegar. Like, there's more. And once again, it's because of people don't. It's an education piece. I feel it's an opportunity to educate. That we've got spices, we've got our salts, we've got, we've got a wide range of index. We've got bitter food, we've got, spicy. So we've got really complex flavors. And I feel that Filipinos have actually one of the most developed palates out there, mainly because of just the things that we're able to do and the influences that we've had from, the Spanish, the Chinese, the Malay, and the Japanese. So,
Exactly.
madaming influences.
I think one of the things na hindi na-realize ng ibang tao is that our cuisine is well-rounded. We're not, hindi tayo monotone, no?
No, hindi
Literally,
siya
we're
flat.
Hindi siya flat, yeah.
Hindi siya flat.
Our cuisine is well-rounded. Maybe it's not presented the way like other cuisines presented na parang medyo, what do you call this? Colorful or vibrant, but our flavors are very well-rounded. We have
And it's harmonious and balanced. I feel that
Yes.
that's the best part of.
I think laing is a good example. You get the
Yeah.
spice, you get a bit of sweetness,
Yes.
the savory there.
Exactly.
A bit of bitter depends on your laing, but mostly
if
there is
if you
this.
didn't leave her alone.
Yeah.
Like-
Yeah, agree. And also, no, umami. It's very umami pack, very flavorful.
Exactly.
So, that's
It's complex actually.
Complex,
That's
it's
the
complex.
biggest misconception of Filipino food na it's not complex.
Is there a particular Filipino dish or ingredient that you think deserves more attention?
For me, kasi nga, I'm from Bicol and I mentioned this earlier, balao. Come on, balao needs to be on the map.
I don't know what's selling balaw.
kasi nga, it's
It's basically bagoong already.
it's
Or
like
well, sorry,
unfermented, like
fermented.
fresh. Tapos, kasi it goes quickly eh. So I feel that maybe it's because it's not, you can't store it maybe properly,
okay,
or maybe that, or it's not as complex as other people would like. Because it's really simple food, but I could eat it every day, honestly. That's like my go-to na every time I'm
Every
home.
time. Pag nasa Philippines, balaw.
Oo, balao.
But
I
you
try
get
to
here
find
in
it.
Manila? Or it's hard
Meron
to-
ata sa market,
Sa
but
market.
it's really hard. It's only an iba din from if you do it then in Bicol kasi. So,
Very different
different din talaga
So
siya.
it's balaw.
It's balao
Okay.
for me.
We'll
The
definitely,
childhood.
I will try to feature that and see kung,
Yes.
hopefully we get to put a bit of spotlight in balaw.
In balao. Or the other one is, yun. But let's stick with balao.
Balaw.
So, yeah.
So,
Okay.
I'm not familiar with Australian food, so
Yeah.
or Australian cuisine. So, can you at least say
Meat
something about
pie
it?
is
Meat
really
pie.
good. I think that's an Australian, it's basically, you can put different flavors in it, like, or sangas are called, sandwiches, or bangers and mash. Bangers
Bangers.
is like sausages.
Sausages.
Yeah, sausages are really good, but it's meat pies. I
Meat pie.
feel
So
that
it's
are
mostly
Australian.
like British food. Would
Yeah.
you say that?
Yeah, because diba, Australia was a penal colony
Yeah,
of
British.
the Brits before.
So that is basically their cuisine.
the cuisine, meat pies are really
Meat pies.
good. And then there's this really good place, parang regional bakery called Beechworth Bakery,
Beechworth.
and they make the bee sting, which is it's sweet siya. It's a nice bread with honey, cream, and a little bit of almonds.
That sounds
No,
nice.
It's really nice. So
Honey
I don't
cream.
know.
Sold na ako basta may honey.
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 I had you at honey.
Yeah,
I
honey.
I
Oh my
had
God.
you at honey.
Yeah, honey.
So
Like,
no,
I'm a
no.
big honey
Ganon.
fan.
And then, but the meat pies. It's really meat pies. So
Meat pies.
they do like, I guess, a steak and onion.
So what's the best dish you've tried of a Australian and Filipino fusion dish?
Australian and
Yeah.
Filipino
Have you ever tried anything in Australia?
fusion.
Maybe
I
there's
mean,
like
there's a
like
few. Ross does it really well. He does. My favorite. He did something called the McScallop.
Scallop.
McScallop, which is
Okay.
basically, it's not technically, well, it is Australian because it's Australian chef. So it's a scallop in tempura butter, in like a sort of like a brioche bun
Okay.
with sort of like I think from memory, like an alamang like sauce. I think from memory. I may be
Oh.
wrong, Ross. Correct me here. But yeah, that's one of my favorite dishes out at
That sounds-
Serai, and
That's
it's
interesting.
not traditionally Filipino, but John makes the balut in the menu that he has, but it's more of, I guess, a sweeter version. As I've said, it's one of that's the first two things that come to mind. Or the other thing that Adobros did really well is adobo as a dessert.
Ooh, okay.
Adobo
Let's
as
talk
a
about
adobo as a dessert.
So paano siya? Paano siya naging dessert?
So they make it with a soy sponge cake in a way, soy sauce. Tapos they have the banana miso gelato
Okay.
cream
Yeah.
on it. They use the chicken oil as the crumbs. So you can imagine the crumbs.
Okay.
Tapos they use the coconut foam. We recently made it with lakan, suma.
yeah.
So you've got the adobo sa gata, but in
Galing.
dessert form.
Dessert form. Ang galing.
And it mind blown kasi you still had the suka, and then they
Soy
put
sauce.
the soy sauce, and then they put like in the actual chocolate spicy like Aleppo pepper on the ganache that they put in there.
The chili
So-
peppers, yeah.
so it's really good. Yeah, so it's that. So I think so it's not necessarily I feel that the provenance is in Australia in a way, but it's that balance of flavors
Again, going
for
back,
me.
it's basically Filipino flavors.
Correct.
Yeah,
So that's what makes it I feel a
See,
little bit special.
These types of dishes are actually quite interesting. Na I think for us Filipinos, well, some might find it weird, but it's actually innovative and it's good. And this is, in my opinion, this is how you showcase it globally.
It's how you imagine then and showcasing and steering away from elevating food. It's not about elevating food, but ensuring that you're right. It gets that parang global, appeal.
Appeal, yes.
In a way, but the flavors are still distinctly Filipino.
Filipino, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
if that was served to me, I would say this is Filipino food.
Yeah.
Like a modern Filipino food.
Exactly.
I wouldn't say na parang this is other cuisine because basically that's our flavor right there, the plate.
Exactly.
Diba?
Chef Mars also made one of my favorite flavors that he's made is like a tinola pasta.
Tinola pasta, okay.
So it's called a
Interesting.
nudi. So there's a region in Italy that serves the pasta without the without the ravioli,
The
or rather
ravioli.
he calls it like a nudi, but he does it with tinola.
Tinola.
I should send you photos. It should be
Tinola.
somewhere.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
They'll
wanna
be
see-
like,
I wanna
or
see the
yeah,
photos
it's
for that.
so
Oh my
it's
God,
so
tinola.
tinola
Is it like a
served it.
tinola ravioli? Kind of like that? No.
Yeah, it's like a tinola ravioli, but it's how do you explain it? So the sauce is tinola, and then he uses it's mind blown. You should come to our supper club.
Yeah, hopefully.
Ganun na lang.
Once I go to
Australia,
I'll
I'd be
definitely
like,
contact you.
Gio, this is where our supper clubs
Okay,
are.
I'll be
And
there.
go.
I'll be there. If you had to create a new hybrid Australian Filipino dish, what would it be and what would you call it? Ikaw lang, example.
Parang adobo meat pie.
Adobo meat pie. Oh, that sounds nice.
Diba?
So the meat
So
pie.
meat pie, flaky crust, ganyan.
I like that.
Diba?
That's very
Top of mind.
It's very saucy yung loob.
Oo,
Awesome.
diba?
Flavors. That sounds nice.
Okay,
We might do
chefs,
that.
don't come for me.
We might do that.
This is diba? Adobo meat pie.
So, just in case for any Filipinos wanting to travel in Australia.
Yes.
What's your favorite restaurant in Australia? It doesn't have to be Filipino, but what's your go-to restaurant in Australia?
I go to... Don't make me choose, Gio. They're all my friends.
Well, if there's one, and you if
It's
you'd
like
recommend.
parang you're making me choose between my children. Not that I'm the mom or anything. No. Hello, I cannot. Like
What about
everyone.
top 3? Like at least top 3. Top 3
Top
recommendation.
3.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now this is
Completely-
mixed, Filipino and also Australian restaurant. Doesn't matter.
Oh my
Like,
God.
top 3 recommendations.
Now it has to be like a top 5.
Okay, give it top 5,
situation.
yeah.
Sige, top 5.
Top 5, let's go.
Obviously,
I'm gonna write this down.
okay,
Give it.
it's not technically a restaurant yet, but the CMD Supper Club and our Adobro Supper Club. Okay, that's number 1. You gotta have faith in your own. Number 2 on
Or you could put it
equal-
no ranking at all.
sige, equal billing,
equal billing,
Serai
everything.
Askal.
Askal, okay.
Palay. Serai Askal Palay. Boom. All right, that's it. And then, oh goodness gracious, I really like Gimlet. Gimlet in Melbourne.
Okay,
That's
Gimlet.
it.
So those are that's basically 5.
5. So I can count. I
Okay,
can
yeah,
count.
okay,
Gio.
that was
Done.
fine, that was
Yeah,
fine. Done, okay,
Gimlet.
done,
Done.
okay.
Okay.
Pag sinabi natin Filipino food or Filipino cuisine, pumapasok agad sa isip natin ang mga pagkain na tulad ng lumpia, sisig, or adobo. Naalala din natin ang mga lugar tulad ng Pampanga na may traditional and conservative cuisine, o kaya naman Iloilo na kilala bilang food haven ng Philippines dahil sa mga diverse na pagkain dito, or Metro Manila with its unique and innovative Filipino food selection. Pero merong isang probinsya na less than 40 kilometers away.
For you, what role do you think journalists and food writers like yourself play in helping Filipino food gain more recognition?
Feel that, as I've mentioned earlier, it's an education piece. The more that people write stories, it's the single most unifying thing you can do. Kasi, as I've said, food connects everyone. So when you showcase what you love, naturally people will see it. Your people will see
People
it.
gravitate to it.
Exactly. If it resonates with someone, if it connects with someone, then you don't need, as much as there's, I guess, a huge school of marketing to say you need to do this, you need to do that. But I feel that you're one of one. So if you just continue to write your story your way, and it's real to you and you feel it, everything else will follow. I feel that that's really my entire journalistic career. I always wrote about what caught my attention, or what my feelings were. So I always, found joy in telling people's stories, and it's such an incredible honor and privilege to do that, Gio. And then to be seen for it, as I said, and I always mention to you, I'm just a small town girl from Naga who ended up in the most wonderful places. So at the end of it, I'm just still like, really? Or no? And then I just go back to writing.
Any advice for up-and-coming Filipino journalist writers here and abroad on their career?
Okay, I think I told this to you na offline, but one of the best things, or there's two things, great childhood memory of my dad. So my dad will always make sundo to me growing up. I think from age 5, 6, he would always ask me, "Oh, anak, are you better today than yesterday?" And I think not just for any journalist really, but for anyone growing up wanting to make something of themselves or want to find their way. And I didn't realize how powerful that was, because that was his question to me every day growing up.
Ganda.
Na, are you better today than yesterday? He would always ask me that. So it gave me that sense of, you only need to compete with yourself. That's one. And the second one, and this is one of the things that I mentioned na super ganda, kasi nga now I ended up as, writing about food, writing about the things that I love, is every Sunday after church we would go out to eat in Naga. And one of the favorite restaurants, and I actually don't know if it's still there, it's called Oyster Villa. It's like a Filipino Chinese restaurant, and it's like the big tables, and Sunday lunch, ganun. So family event lang. Everyone after church would go out to eat. And always, I remember I was about 7 or 8, na I'd always look at what other people would order. And it always turned my attention in a very parang gentle way. It's like, anak, just focus on your plate. And so I think that's my advice, and that's what I tell. I've got 2 boys. I've got Kaizen, who's 8, and Kirian, who's 3. Na you don't need to know what the other tables are ordering. You just need to focus on your own plate. Because that way, you won't be, looking back now, you won't be too preoccupied or too concerned or too parang, kasi it's natural for us to say, oh, what if they don't like me? What if it's not gonna go viral? What if it's not gonna rate? There's so many what ifs.
Yeah.
But then that's not your plate, honey.
Totoo.
You focus on what you have right in front of you. And I feel that that's, outside of love her and leave her alone. I think dad had it right. You focus on your own plate and invite people in.
Nice.
Kasi ikaw yun eh.
Yeah,
it's,
that's you.
It's you. You cannot fake real. And I feel that. And shout out to my mom. Third life lesson is never give up. I think that's, she's a force. My mom never took no for an answer. And you know what? It's your life. Life is short. So you only need to listen to yourself.
Nice, beautiful, ganda.
Oh
ganda.
my gosh.
Solid. Where do you see the Filipino food scene heading in the next 5 to 10 years? Here in Australia and also globally.
Global domination. Why stop? We have the best minds when it comes to chefs out there. There's up and coming chefs who really have the creative genius. So I feel that once again it goes back to this dream/concept of mine that in the next couple of years I want to create a global campaign connecting chefs worldwide to tell our story our way. And I feel that it's a great opportunity for us to really showcase ourselves and that's the best part of now of we can create the reality we want in today's world, and regardless of where or who or what, as long as, and this is quoting Chef Michael, a really good friend of mine of Adobers, is like, sarapan mo lang. It doesn't, and Mars, as I've said, I'm surrounded by really, really amazing chefs, like out in Melbourne, out, Abby in New York for Mayumu, that if you put heart into whatever you do, it doesn't, you owe it to yourselves to continue that. If you live life with passion and purpose, that's it. You don't do it for anything else. You don't do it to be seen, for the applause or what other people would think. And that, I think, is the wonderful thing now about Filipino food, that we're poised to just be ourselves, and in a very exciting manner, that we have the tools now. We have the creative genius, as I've said, to continue and invite people in. I feel that there's no single formula to success, but what is common in every successful story is the passion that drives it. So
nice.
that's it.
Ganda. Nice. Solid. And that's a really nice episode. And that's basically our episode for today. That's a wrap for us, Raine.
Amazing.
So, thank you so much for joining us here in Grab a Bite. Madaming matutunan.
Yeah.
Not just about Australia, but also, what's happening around our food scene.
Yes. And maraming salamat din,
So,
Gio.
thank you so much,
Thank
Raine.
you for taking time. And, everyone in the team, as I always say, it's not about what people think you are. It's about who you know yourself to be.
Nice. I love that.
And
Parting
that's
message.
it.
I love that.
Parting message.
Dami
yeah.
matutunan from leave it.
Love her and leave her.
Love her
And leave her alone.
To basically what you
Diba?
said.
Ang daming hi. I didn't even realize that.
I mean, ganda. This is a really fun conversation.
It's,
I
the
enjoyed it a
top
lot.
3. As I've said, one of the things that, as I, wanted to say talaga is, are you better yesterday than, are you better today than yesterday?
Yeah.
You focus on yourself and you just never give up.
Yeah, great takeaway. Solid. So, Raine, now this is the time to promote your socials, or where can our viewers
Okay, so guys, follow me at Raine Writes Daily on IG. I also have at masterplanglobal.au. So those are the two things. And you'd see I guess, my writings everywhere else. Massive thanks to Saitem, who really have, for me, was a turning point at the start of the year for my career. I didn't realize that the work that I've put in for close to 2 decades was given a little bit of a spotlight, but it's not really for me. The work would still continue regardless of whether there was that recognition or not. And I just really want to thank my boys. So I've got, Kaizen, Kirian, my husband Michael, and my family. I feel that the work the work that I do now is inspired by how I was raised. And it's really, I want to dedicate this to my dad and my mom, as cliche as it sounds. I feel that my memories of my childhood has really shaped who I am today. And it's such a beautiful thing that we get to give back and transform lives. So Gio, wonderful work that you're doing too. It's telling one story at a time.
Yes,
and I feel
that's
that, and to plug a few things, I've got Chef Noel coming to Australia next month.
Okay.
So we have that. Working with, in October, working with Guevara's and Chef Laudico for a collab with Chef Noel. On Monday, we've got a collab with Chef Lau and Chef Dabo and Chef Jack at Guevara's. Shout out, madami pala. Then October, there's another one with Chef Noel and Chef Kalel at Lobby 385 to shout out to my partners. I'll invite you there actually. And then towards the end of November, I'm also doing another event with I can't say it, but it's big because it's now uniting and connecting nations together. And with a ex-Master Chef Australia alumni.
Okay.
So we're
Exciting times.
That's the October. I've got an NDA, guys, so I can't give details yet until such
that's
time.
an exclusive
Sneak peek.
Okay.
And then we've got a few things happening as well in November, December.
Okay.
So just watch this space. And I'll invite you to next year's 2026
Definitely.
one. So
That's the target, to be in
target
Australia.
talaga. And it's happening. Oh, punta ka na. Punta na kayo, guys. Tara na.
So thank you so much, Raine, for your time. And we'll see you again soon.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye,
you,
everyone.
So,
Thank you so much.
that's it for us, foodies. We'll see you again. Bye. See you. Take care.
Bye. Ayan. Oh my God.
If you enjoyed this podcast, don't forget to follow all our socials at BiteSized.PH para updated kayo sa new episodes namin. See you in the next episode, foodies. Bye!